Brandon back. Time for more SexxxPerTease. Today's episode is about, should you FaceTime before you meet someone? I know lots of people like to FaceTime before meeting or have a phone call because there are lots of catfishes out here. There's lots of weird people. So it's like you want to kind of get a feel for them and make sure they're at least like the real person you're talking to. Make sure they're not using old pictures and making sure you're not getting in a dangerous situation because the person is a fraud. And I completely understand that, but personally speaking, I don't like FaceTime or talking on the phone before meeting someone. I just feel like it's definitely insecurity because I've always been judged for my voice, and lots of guys have been turned off by my feminine, high-pitched voice. So it's also one reason why I don't like to FaceTime or talk on the phone before meeting. But I also kind of feel like it takes away from the whole entire first date conversation, because I feel like you get caught up talking on the phone for hours, but then it's what you're supposed to do as a couple on a first date. It just kind of gets we just spent hours talking on the phone, but this conversation we're supposed to be having on the phone is what we're supposed to be having in person. So that just really bothers me, that it's just kind of I don't know, it just feels like a wasted opportunity. And it kind of feels okay, so we're just gonna talk about everything that we talked about on the phone in person, because it's just kind of unless you keep the phone conversation short, oh, I just seen what you look like, but then it kind of seems rude or off-putting if they only stay on the phone with you for 5 minutes or a really short period of time. So it's just kind of a weird situation to be in. But I know the quarantine and the pandemic, lots of people were doing virtual dating. I never did that because I'm just kind of what's the point? But I understand it and I see why people like it. I just don't really think that it's something I want to do or something that I would enjoy. But I mean, whatever works for you. I think if your preference is to at least make sure you're talking with the real person whose pictures you were exchanging and who you were communicating with online, I completely understand FaceTiming before dating. I personally just think it takes away from the experience of a first date, because I also kind of feel some people are more awkward on the phone or some people are awkward on FaceTime. I just feel some people do excel better if you talk in person, and I just feel I'm one of those people I want to see how you move, how you interact, what your entire body looks like, because people can still hide things on FaceTime, they can still hide things over a phone call. So it's just kind of if I don't like you in person, it's just kind of okay, then this is just not gonna see you again. But I also on the phone, I do feel it's just an added layer of being scared to meet up with people, and I'm not a fan of that. Thankfully I haven't had really that many bad experiences with meeting up in person or going on dates. It's if I'm not into you, I'm not into you. But it's I've never had a person completely catfish me for a dinner date. But I kind of just feel even if they did, it's well, you're still paying for the food, so at least get a free meal out of it. And it's just an opportunity to get out of the house. I just feel all dates aren't going to be perfect and no one's going to be perfect. So I just feel there's nothing wrong with actually just making sure that you are with the person that is right. I don't know, I just feel dating is fun. Dating is part of the adventure. You never know what you're going to get. And I kind of feel people kind of let their fear and insecurity kind of ruin the magic of a first date by just being we're gonna talk on the phone or we're gonna FaceTime and I need to see who you are, blah blah blah. I just kind of feel that is just a waste of my time. I'm just ready to see how you are in person, because that tells me more than just talking to you on the phone. It's you can have great conversation on the phone for hours, and I've also had guys talk on the phone for hours and then they don't want to meet up afterwards. I'm kind of just this was a waste of my fucking time. I would rather just meet in person, and then if we don't like each other, we don't like each other. And also sometimes you're not gonna like them on the phone, but then surprisingly you might like them in person. So it's kind of I feel meeting in person is what's best for me. But definitely in the circumstance of a date, because I feel if you're just doing a hookup, I mean, yeah, maybe you want to talk on the phone, but I also kind of feel I don't want to talk on the phone hookup either, because it's just what are we talking about? Because people just want to FaceTime you if they're real. But personally speaking, I kind of just feel that comes across immature to me, because I kind of just feel I've been online dating for over a decade, so I just kind of feel I know how to communicate with someone in text and messaging to the point where it's if you're a weirdo, it comes out pretty soon, so I know not to be up with you. But I kind of just feel do you, but my preference is not FaceTiming before meeting, not talking on the phone before meeting. I just prefer to meet in person, go on the date, see what you're in person, make that my first impression of you instead of having this phone call or FaceTime be my first impression of you, because I just feel it takes away from the actual experience of going on a date with someone. But that's just being said. Thanks for joining me for this episode of SexxxPerTease.